La-da-dee, la-da-da-da. La-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hello, crafters. I'm Big D, and welcome to the return of Taco Tuesday. Ugh, missed 2 weeks. My cough is finally gone. I can talk like a normal person, although I do kind of get in a growly real easy now. So my throat's still not perfect, but the cough is gone. I can talk and interact and not be sick anymore. Thanks for all the well wishes from everybody. I appreciate it. 2 weeks, lots of stuff happened in those 2 weeks. A lot of stuff I want to cover. Lots of. Okay, the cough is mostly gone. The hacking cough is gone, but I still a little here and there. So, we are here. I got a little late start tonight. I had a slight emergency right at the end there. But we are here. All right. So let's talk about what's on the bench. Well, as you can kind of see, these little guys here, and these little guys here, and these little guys here, and these little guys that just got dumped everywhere. Crap. Pick them up before I get up and walk. And they turn into these guys. So, guard has been released, and guard is on the rise. So, I went back and touched up all my tanks to get them all, to get some things I wanted to get done. Because of the new rules, they changed some stuff about guard, and they changed it in a way I really like. And I will talk about that later in the show. But I've been working on guard, and I've been working on my ogres. They're not nearby, but I am working on ogres because I just dumped all my grotlings. All my grotlings. I got dropped on the floor here. So, yeah, that's what's on the table. Let's get right into it, folks. Let's get right into it. First off, before we go any further, Skynox being one of those people there, I want to congratulate the 4 members of my team out at Team Warp Storm Gaming that made it out to the Las Vegas Open. Skynox being one of them. 4 of them played in the big championship tournament. 2 of them did okay for like one of their first times there. I mean, it's top of the world competition there, and we got a lot of ways to go. We got a lot of training. They did better than I probably would have. We had Steve, who did really well, and then we had Quinn, who came in 22nd place out of like 900 and some odd people, which is crazy. So big props to all 4 of my members, which is Quinn, Steve, Knox, and Kirschbaum. Congrats. I'm really proud of all 4 of you guys. Next year, GCD is going with big day. I'd be wearing my jersey, but I'm painting, and I don't want to get any paint on my jersey. So, that being said, so big congrats to all of them. Blood Angels. Blood Angels won LVO. I don't understand. I thought Marines weren't good. Well, when a good player plays a good list, then he knows anybody can win in this game. I'm glad we got some recognition to go up there. I want to give a shout out to my guys out of Tundra Tactics. One of their guys came in 11th place. So, yeah, I think the big shocker was that we did not see Votan up at the top. A lot of people were assuming that Votan were going to be jumped all over as a late entry into the meta, and Votan didn't really even show up. There was a Gene Stealer cult. Like, we're talking Gene Stealer cults, which are not a good army at all. Literally top 20 army. Surprising. It was great to watch some of the games. It was great to get some real-time reports from my guys. Yeah, and then the guy that won, he played those Blood Angels flawlessly, as kind of said, just absolutely flawlessly, especially those last 3 rounds. It was crazy. So yeah, it was stoked. But that marks the end of the old season and on to the new season. So we're going to talk a little bit about this book, but then we're going to talk a lot about the book underneath it. So let's talk about brief talk about Arc of Omens. So the Grand Tournament rules. So there are some major changes. Detachments there's a required detachment now. You have to take an Arc of Omen detachment. Attachments are essentially free. Army building is weird now. They got rid of a lot of the secondaries. I gotta play a couple games underneath this. I don't know if it's better or worse. The data slate took away a lot of everything. Guard looks really good. Marines look really frighteningly good. Losing Armor of Contempt means Tau jump right back to we get you off our table. And AdMech will be interesting. I think AdMech does bring a lot to the table. I think there's a couple armies. The thing is that I think AdMech does some really good stuff, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, yeah, they got a 5-up invul on their entire army, and that's great. I gotta play them. I gotta see what they do. I like Guard at this point. Like Guard right now just looks. They got so many tools in the toolbox. I mean, Mr. Fish, good to see you. Like I said, Guard look really good right now, and Guard looks good in a couple of fun ways. That's a bunch of tanks, and that's going to be a lot of tanks coming down on people. With Guard losing their benefits to indirect fire, I think we're going to see a lot less artillery. I think we're going to see a lot more direct fire. I think you're going to see cheap units that put out big hits. I think you're going to see cheap mobile units, and I think you're going to see a lot of dudes on the ground. Damn right, looks good on pizza. Cheapest spray tables there is available. Yeah, I like the way Guard looks like it's going to play. So, basic thoughts. I think the new way of building armies is weird. I think making it so that troops get a benefit for doing stuff, I don't think that's enough to force some armies to force troops in there. I want to see how Necrons do. I think Necrons are gonna have a lot of craziness to do in the new book. I gotta get some games in using new rules. I haven't been able to play much, obviously, because I've been sick. So no, I'm not sick, and I'm going to try and play Thursday, but honestly, the first game I'm looking at is the game I've been trying to get going for the last 3 weeks, and that's to get my Ogors over to Warpstorm so I can eat Ben's elves. It'll be interesting to see. I want to get and eat them elves. because I want to get using this book. Oh my gosh. So, looking at this book. Okay, I got to say first off, first above and beyond anything else, GW, why are you not doing this? For this. Spiral bound. Lays flat. Big fat tabs to pull apart things, to make things easy to find. A nice firm cover so it doesn't get wrecked, but with a nice thing to seal it up at the end of the day, or keep the page you want to get to and throw it in there. Why are you not doing this to this? You guys say this is your moneymaker. You guys say 40K is your big moneymaker. Then give us this love. Because this, I mean, I got the core base rules reference right on the back of the book. They gave me a card. Think about this. Why did, when this book came out, if they can put this in here, why can't they put a small pack of cards in here with the new stratagems or the new secondaries or anything? This is first off, this is primo. This is really primo. This is such a well put together book. So just saying from that, it's a superior product to begin with. Then let's get in here. The first tab, you get the pitch battle. And they talk about the rules for the pitch battle and the new changes made to it. Some of the things. Yeah, good point. Iron Guts. I gotta look again. I think actually I gotta look at my guys again. I'm playing the guys that I get a bonus to doing mortal wounds on my charges. So whichever group that is. I really like that ability that I run up and I hit people and I do mortal wounds and I get bonuses to doing it. So that's like the one army I want to play. I just think it's hilarious. I run around and punch people and get bonuses to punching them extra. So they talk about the points limit. The way they put their armies together still aren't any different. I love this. I love this is way this is working. Now they did do a couple changes. So one of the big things that they changed was they got rid of the brand new in the last book, the brand new battalions and the brand new units, so that you couldn't do there was a one that you can't do your rampaging stuff on anymore. They got rid of that. So that's no longer a thing. But now they've got this Galatian thing, the Galatian command, so you can't be shot at. Basically, they gave heroes the ability to have Lookout Sir, which they've never had in Age of Sigmar. Now heroes suddenly have Lookout Sir, which is kind of neat. And they've got this whole Galatian thing. It's all about going after heroes, being near heroes, and doing things with heroes. I like that. I like that they're focusing on each of these seasons. They're like changing like a major focus of what's in the game. The last time it was like we want to chill out with the monsters. This time we want to make heroes the focus. So kind of hero hammering it out, and they've got some unique enhancements and some new artifacts, which is cool. Now here's the other thing that's kind of neat that they don't do in the other book. They've actually got like a tiny painting guide showing that they kind of want people to understand this is what we consider to be, this is the standard. And this is the standard for what you want if you're going to be in an army and you want to be battle ready. Because the interesting thing, unlike 40K, which is if you're battle ready, you're 10 points extra. Technically, if you're in a competitive place, and I don't even play competitive, but they're like, you need to be battle ready. Paint your army. Like, that's a huge thing. It's like, paint your damn army. Now, admittedly, not everybody has that kind of time, and not everybody's all ready for that. And everybody's like, oh, we'll get to it. And that's cool. I like the fact that people are getting to it. But I like the fact that they're also like, paint your damn army. We're going to show you 2 or 3 methods to do it quickly. Paint your army. When I hear people complaining about having to paint their army, it's like, you got in this hobby knowing what you were getting into. I know they got the new battle plans. And again, I like the way they do the battle plans. And I understand why the battle plans, the way they work in Age of Sigmar, don't work. Like, you can't have them mirror the same way they work in 40K. It's a different animal entirely. And I get that. And that's cool. But looking at this, I really want to, honestly, the more I look at this, like some of these battle plans, and how you win them and how you win strategies on them, they're so different than what you would consider to be very static in 40K type battle plans. Like, the secondary things you got to do are just weird. And the way you set up is very different. What's yours, what's not yours. The fact that you're encouraged to bring in a piece of terrain for your army, and it has a definite direct effect on almost every single army. I want to get a maw pot for my guys. I also want to get a butcher. If I can get my hands on a maw pot, I've got a third tyrant, because every box set they included a tyrant in it. So I'm going to probably take all my bits and whatnot and go through and with some green stuff. And I think I'm going to convert my third tyrant to look like a butcher if I get my hands on a maw pot. Like, I really want a maw pot. And the butcher's ability to be by the maw pot and do things with it, to heal people and to just do some crazy stuff with it. Oh, look, we killed a bunch of you bad guys, our enemies in there. They go in the pot. Now the pot's full. You're cooking your enemies and you're eating your enemies. I love the Ogres. They are hilarious. Their entire hierarchy is, can this fit in my mouth? If you can get in my mouth, I am above you in stature and power. If I am strong enough to eat you, then you are below me. And the only reason Noblars survive is because they don't try to challenge their power. They're like, you're in charge, we just scraps, let's be helpful. And it's just hilarious. They keep them around basically like dogs that can kick. It's freaking hilarious. I love the Ogres. I think they're a fun faction, just like I love the Nurgle faction. I want to get my Nurgle boys back on the table. They're a lot of fun to play too. Now that the Ogres have brand new rules, I want to do a couple test runs with them. The Beastmen and the Gloomspire Gits, the Goblins, are getting their book. Either went on just pre-sale this past weekend, or it's going on pre-sale this coming weekend. 2 weeks ago, we had Slaves of Darkness come out, and there was a tremendous amount of hype for Slaves to Darkness. There was this massive amount of hype for Slaves to Darkness. And I mentioned it before that I had gotten a second job. I'm working part-time in a game store. So along with being in a wargaming team, kind of sponsored by one store, I work at a different gaming store. Gaming has really become my life. It's interesting because there was so much hype over the Slaves of Darkness. And I have not been seeing it fly off the shelves. I have not. I mean, that we have a massive amount of it. And that kind of concerns me because I think they're a good fashion. That's my chicken, right? Mm-hmm. I have chicken tonight for dinner. Little chicken nuggies. I'm not over that up. So I'm concerned because they look really good. The new models look great. Yeah, I was going to say, I was lucky enough to see Commodore's Demon Prince with the new sculpt, the new Demon Prince, and I knew it was bigger than the old Demon Prince. I was shocked at how much bigger it is. Commodore painting this up is gorgeous. He did a beautiful job painting his up. But I think the biggest shock is at how much bigger it is. I don't even think it's on a, and that is something I've noticed in these last couple of releases. Everything is going on bigger bases and everything is getting bigger. The Demon Prince was on a 60 and stood about 4 centimeters tall. No, was that 4 inches tall? Yeah, it stood about 4 inches tall. I think the new Demon Prince is on. Yeah, the Ogroids look great. Yeah, and that's a big thing. They want those army centerpieces because that's the only way you can think about it. Because the Demon Prince now went up in size. Confirm for me, Art or Commodore. That new base, that's got to be an 80 millimeter. And it went from a $45 model to an $80 model if you buy it separately. It's a big freaking model. And it was noticeable because, like, I got Guard, and Guard are on 25 millimeters. Well, now the Command Squad are on. Command Squad are now on 28s. So I'm thinking they are eventually going to increase the size of Guard. And they're going to move them up to 28. I figured they just moved straight to 32s. Only because the last 3 unique character models they released were all on 32s. I think it's interesting that they're not. But I'm thankful because I do not want to have to rebase 100 plus figures right now. But if they do upside them, it's kind of crazy. The new commander on horseback, Lord Solar, I figured he was going to be on a 60. He is on an 80 millimeter. When the new artillery unit came out, those things are on 100 millimeter bases. It's like they're really trying to get bigger on these sizes. Even the Dorn. If you've seen this thing, it literally is half. It's like what happens if you took a Lehman Russ and a Baneblade and put them into one tank and then divide it in half, and got the average, because it's literally in between size for those 2 models. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to add new effects. Like, I gotta say, the artillery piece, they basically gave you, they want each of those to be little mini dioramas. They give you a bunch of extra pieces to go on the base to be like a box of ammo and some ammo lying on the ground and one guy acting as a spotter, one guy in the gunning, and then a third guy on the base. They really made it out to be like it's each one's supposed to be like a mini diorama, which I guess is cool. I don't have a problem with it. But at the same time, it's a big freaking base. For what it does, it takes up a lot of real estate. Now, I've got some ideas about my dorm. I got to go see my brother. And when I go see him, I want to talk to him about doing some LEDs and stuff because I think I'm going to bore out a couple of the lights and put some LEDs in there and bore out some of the insides and see if I can see what he has some ideas for, like, so I can make it so like the big gun flashes and like the two headlights on the front top kind of light up, and then maybe run one wire over to the spotlight and the spotlight light up. Because they give you a ton of room and they gave you an easy access underneath because they didn't put a bottom on the thing. So there's plenty of room to get in there and do your wiring and not have a big problem with it. So I'm thinking about that to do some neat electronic effects on that model. The model just kind of screams it. That's my plan to do if I ever get a Bane blade. I actually kind of want to put a USB speaker in there so I can put some noise and stuff in there. So I'm not, like I said, I noticed with Age of Sigmar, they're increasing the base sizes on stuff too. New figures, when they get refreshed, they seem to step up a base size. The last couple of new armies, like the Bone guys, the entire army's on bigger bases. I think they're trying to go with the idea that, yeah, we are the premier army and we want to premier miniature game. We want to make these miniatures look more epic. We want to give you room to do basing effects. And if they want to do that, that's great. But then I think they need to, if they're going to go that route, I think they should expand their range of the stuff they supply because they've got two kinds of tufts right now and they both kind of suck. No, I don't. They don't both suck. The bright green ones suck. I can't stand their bright green tufts right now. Their dead tufts are pretty cool. But I miss their Midland tufts. Their Midland tufts were so good. That being said, I have found some replacements. Vallejo makes a set of tufts. It's a cheap pack. It's $6 for a pack like this. It's two-sided sheet. Or no, it's a one-sided sheet. It's a one-sided sheet. So it's $6 for a one-sided sheet, but there are a lot of different spaces. And they've got about 20 different variations, all natural-looking colors. The natural green, which I've been using, is the one that's close to the Midland Tufts. I like it a lot. It looks really, I like it. Then I went and got these to specifically use for my guard, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because I wanted some dashing looking tufts. And then I just grabbed some stopped by the railroad shop and bought some generic, just kind of Midlandy tufts. Again, $7 for this huge sheet. Now they're all identical in size. They're not different sizes, so you might have to trim them or cut them or whatnot. But $7 for a big thing of tufts like that, you can't beat that. Gamer's Grass does great stuff, but you don't find them in stores very often. A couple places carry them. I know for a lot of people, the modeling, it's funny. Talking to people now that I work at the store, it's funny talking to people about modeling because there are very definitely like three camps of of gamers. We did some exciting networking. Anything you're able to talk about, Knox? Because I'd love to hear about it. Or is it something we have to talk about as hobby wise? I'd like to hear about that. Hit me up in Messenger Discord. I'd love to hear about that. Um, but there's literally, I'm running like the three camps. There's the one group of players that are like, they want to go nuts with their army and make it as cool and awesome as they can. You got this one, you got the one camp that's like, I gotta paint them. All right, fine. And either they don't paint them or they prime them and they're done. And if they have to get it for like a competition or something, they're like, and they'll either do like a slapdash job or they'll find somebody to do it for them, or they just steadfastly don't care because they just want to play and they don't care about the paint job. And then there's this third group that I'm learning more about, more and more and more about that I've never really encountered. I mean, I knew there were commissioned painters out there, obviously. I didn't realize how many hobbyists just would rather just go to a commissioned painter. I'll just pay you. I'd rather pay you. I'd rather pay you. I'd rather pay you. I'd rather pay someone else to do it. It's I knew there were people out there. There were some out there. I knew there was some out there. And when you see a couple services, and I see there's a couple services out there, and I'm like, well, obviously there must be some money to be made. Holy crap. I've got guys that see me painting a couple models and like, hey, those look great. How much money can I give you to get you to paint my army? What? I mean, you see what I've done. Yeah, but that looks good enough for me. How much it cost me to paint my army? What? Lady D, they've had people talk to her about wanting to paint. So she's doing commission work for art right now, which, and that's cool. Doing a couple pieces here and there. I've had people literally approach me about painting an entire army a couple times in like the last 2 weeks. Like, really? They want to play. Like, I'm one of the guys, he wants to play Mordians. He wants to play his Mordians really bad. Quiet you. I'm working on it. That's what these are for. It's crazy when people want to like have an entire. I mean, I'm like, I don't know that I have the time to do it right now, especially having a second job and all my own stuff I want to catch up with because I'm like, I want to get through my backlog. I want to get rid of my backlog this year. That's my goal, is to get rid of most of my backlog this year. Get rid of everything I've got that I'm supposed to be painted to get it done and out of the way, in the storage, into its place, and get it going. And it's just like I said, I had a guy yesterday came up to me, and he's got an entire metal Mordian army that he's had since the mid 90s. And he's like, we got to work something out where I can get you to paint that for me. And I'm like, you've had these for 25 years. And now, oh my goodness. All right, Knox, we'll talk. Yeah, it's crazy that, I love painting. It's one of the reasons I really like this game, because Sigmar lets you paint some really, really crazy stuff. Like, I would love to paint some of those dragon cavalry up. I don't know what I mean. And I don't really like playing Stormcast, so I can't see me ever buying them, because I'm not enjoying playing Stormcast. But man, do I want to paint a couple of those Dragon Riders up. These tanks, between the AK Interactive and the Vallejo washes, AK Interactive, and the Dirty Down. I mean, let me show this off to you guys. This is the beginning of my Black Company, which is going to be a specialty unit within my army. Craze with reds for markings, but there's battle war. There's like streaking and grinding. It doesn't show up real well, but there's like a layer of rust all through here, a layer of rust all on the insides of the tank, and it took nothing at all time to do. That Dirty Down does such a good job, and you combine that with streaking grime, and I've got this really, really heavily weathered tank, and it's one of the, and you can feel how heavy this thing is. This is one of the original Lehman Russes from like 95. So with a metal spot, the gun itself is actually the metal turret, because that was the only way you could get the Demolisher turret back then. So, I wanted to kind of spend some extra special time on this thing. And all it took was like a little extra work. So I kind of went through it. I found I had this really clean tank I've had. And I went, no, I want to dirty it up. And the streaking grime just makes this thing look battle worn, all the heck. And you'll notice I've got this theme running through all my tanks. The red dash here is often where squad markings and honor markings are going to go. But I'm doing like a thing where this is like, you can tell these are the Cadians because they're in the woodland structure. Then I'm going to have my Talon Desert Raiders, which is what I'm trying to paint now, are using only the khaki colors with an alternate color, like a dark green or a mid green for something else. I got to figure out what I'm doing for the alternate color. I'm at this point thinking I'm doing their armor in Vallejo khaki, doing the cloth in the Vallejo khaki, and then doing the armor in XV88. So I can keep that desert theme with them, but have two very different colors. So, and I don't know. I want to do some cool stuff with these models, and I want to do some cool stuff with them this year, and I want to focus on cool stuff. I want to get my things up and play with them. I really want to play some Age of Sigmar. Really, really want to play some Age of Sigmar. Oh my god, my ogres are just dying to get out and just play. I want to get some 40K, and I have not played 40K. I think I played one game or two games in helping a team prep to go out to LVO. But there was the tournament in December. There's a couple of games in the middle there, and that's it. That's all I played in like a month and a half. I really want to get my guard out and try some serious lists and try punching people in the face with them. because I've got some seriously crazy ideas about what to do with an army where I don't have to take a lot of the same things you normally would take. Especially the idea of this very scary idea of taking a guard army with nearly no artillery or no artillery and just load up on Lehman Russes. When I realized how many Lehmans I have now and how cheap they actually are, being able to put 6 Lehman Russes with a tank commander on the table and move them into one just big, here we go. Oh, it's spicy. Spicy. So something worth trying. Guard. So Guard came out. They're very different than they were. They just got their big release this past week. They're very different than they were. Everybody is the same. We're all Guard. So I can have a list that has Cadians, Catechins, Krieger, Talon, all on the same list. Adelins, they're all the same list because they all play together. I find that interesting. I'm also torn. So I wanted to make sure that when I build and paint these models, that I make it easy to understand that, because I go back to the Guard and I think of them the way I think about my time in the military. So I've got a Cadian division. The 347th Cadian Irregular Division. Which is why you'll see Cadia 347 on this tank, even though this is technically Kriegers. Yes, I'm going to be running Kriegers, but I'm not running any Krieger models. I've got all these lovely squats with the old Imperial Guard weapons, and that's going to be my Kriegers. I'm going to be running some of these old 1990s tanks, painted up in these colors, and they're going to be 3rd Company, the Black Raiders. 347th Cadian Battalion, 3rd Company, the Black Raiders. And they're going to be my Cadians. They're going to be my Kriegers. I'm going to have 1st Company, the Ivy Tigers. You're going to have my 2nd Company, which I haven't come up with a name with, but they're going to be where a lot of my artillery comes in, and they're going to be my Talon. And then I'm going to have my 4th Company, which is going to be my Catechins, who, this guy, he's in the overdown. They're going to be my company commander. I've got the Catechin Colonel. It's going to be my company commander for the Catechins. And although it's not going to matter because they're all going to be the same unit, and this is the beauty of it, I can paint these different companies and paint them in their own color schemes. So my Cadians can be their 1980s green camo, and my Talon can be the classic Talon scheme that I like. And I can paint up my Black Company, my Black Raiders, in their grays and reds for my squats. And it'll all work out. So it'll be interesting. I like the way it works. Everybody is one thing, and then certain units have an additional thing they do. Like, everybody is whatever legion you decide you are. Like, I like the basic born soldiers, where it's just a basic ability. It's great. And then the Cadians get one thing that they can do extra. Catechins get another thing they can do that are extra. Kriegers don't suffer from morale, and they have a miniature version of transhuman where twos don't work on them. That's cool. But then you can also have things like Karskins, who get the Cadian bonus, but they also get the ability to pick another ability. And if you're going to have up 3 units of Karskins, each one plays a different veteran ability. That's also a thing you can put on a tank commander and give him another ability. So there's a lot more options. And from what they were saying at GW, this is going to be the new methodology of building armies from this point forward. So that makes me wonder, well, that makes sense for something like Marines, but we're going to see the world leaders. We're going to see the world leaders come up for pre-order this coming weekend. Are the world leaders going to work like the Death Guard do, where there's like 7 different companies, or in this case, it'll be 8 companies, or are they all going to be the same? I don't know. I'm interested because I've been looking at the way they do the Sigmar guys, and like I look at my Ogors, and all my Ogors, there's like 8 different things, but all of their bonus is a single difference. They're all the same except for one single little difference. But there's keywords on some units that are, because some are Beastclaw Raiders, some are Iron Guts, and I forget what the third one is, but there's 3 different little mini factions, and which is more like the way the Guard works. It's like, if you're this background, if you take this army type, these kind of units with this background get this benefit, and then there's an overall benefit. And then, or there's one that just, I get your entire army gets this benefit, which is the one I like the one that gives everybody a +1 to do mortal wounds when they do their charges. Again, it's an interesting way to make differences without making world-changing or world-breaking or game-breaking changes. Like, you look at the other abilities for the Guard, I honestly think Born Soldiers is the best. I think you can build to the other ones. But even if you build towards the other ones, I don't think you're going to build anything that's going to be game-breaking. Not that I can see. I tried looking at some of the combinations, and I don't think they're game-breaking. So, because a lot of them, there's like one combination I saw that you could build, it'd be really good with artillery, but then the rest of your army doesn't get any benefit to it other than you being really good with artillery. And you're basically using your army to make your artillery effective. And it's not that big a bonus. So, I'm not sure. I can see them doing that with Marines. I can see them breaking it down with the Marines and putting them in a single book. Compliant or non-compliant. And kind of ironing out everything in between. It wouldn't be the first time they've done that. At one point, there were no special characters. They took all the special characters away from the Marines. And they were just a psyker, a librarian. They're a librarian, a captain, a lieutenant, or a chaplain. And that was it. And they took away all the named characters for like an addition. Nobody liked that. But it did even a lot of balance issues. I don't think they'll do that again. But I can see them figuring out how to even it out. So that it doesn't matter. Marine is a Marine is a Marine. I don't know if I want them to do that. But I can see where they could go with that. In the future, what do we see coming forward? Well, like I said, we know that the Gloom Spike Gits and the Beast Claw, the Beastmen for Age of Sigmar are coming out this week. And I was looking through who's left. The Heed Knights haven't been touched. They got a thing in a White Dwarf, and it didn't really do much for them. Really, they're still a really bad place. They showed and they hinted at the city of Sigmar, and that was supposed to be the big focus of this edition. Like they were saying that Sigmar, the cities of Sigmar, were going to be the big centerpiece, and they look like they're going to be the last guys done at this point. Because I mean, who's left? You got the Blades of Corn, you got the Heed Knights of Slaanesh. Everybody in Destruction's done. The Osiarch Bone Reapers. The Osiarch Bone Reapers are the guys up for Undead, and they need that rework. Who's left in Order? Like, I think they finally got everybody in Order. So there can't be that many big releases left other than the cities. But, I mean, if you're going by the same rate of return, Sigmar 3.0 came out a year after Indominus. Indominus is coming to a close. We got maybe a half a year left. So we got a year and a half left of Sigmar 3.0. I don't know. I know they like spreading the releases out across the life of the edition to keep constant cash and sales running through. But I feel bad for armies like Guard that are coming in at the end of an edition, because it means that they're probably not going to get new rules when the new edition comes out for a lot. And you're going to see the problem that Necrons had. When Necrons started off, they were really, really good. And then they suffered from fatigue like every other new army came out. Necrons just went down, down, down. And the Necrons got picked back up. But it took a while. They got shoved face first into the dirt before they got a chance to come back up. So 8th edition Guard was one of the most competitive, one of the best armies. And they have been garbage for most of 9th. And now they should be good again. And who's to say? And then you look at like the same thing with Age of Sigmar. I mean, when the Heed Knights first came out, they were really good. They were just really hot, and everybody loved playing them, and they were like really fantastic. And then a couple of patches later, and suddenly the Heed Knights were just dying in droves. And they're fun. I love the look of them. But they're worse than glass cannons. They're like glass pea shooters. And then you got to build your army specific way with them, and they need to get rules to make them better. So they're demons, and they don't feel like demons when you play them. Caradon Overlords. Didn't they get their rules? I thought they got rules. No, that's right. That was the Fire Dwarves got their rules, not the Caradons. Yeah. They need new rules. That is an army I really am enamored by. I love the look of them. I kind of want them, but at the same time, I don't want to get into them. Because unfortunately, it's just a lot of the same colors over and over and over. I don't know. Maybe not. You could probably do something different with them. But I love their aesthetics. So it's kind of like, airship, pirate, profiteer, dwarves. What's not to love? What's not to love? But yeah, I think they could. I can think they could use some rules update. I kind of wish they produced. Maybe it's a thought. Maybe they spend the first year of an edition putting out all the army books to get everybody out, and then start producing like new box sets and new rules editions and stuff like that. I don't know. There's got to be a better way to do it. All the boxes are checked except the meta army one. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't play the meta. I play to what's fun. I play to what strikes me at the time. I just want to have fun with the game. And unfortunately, when an army is bad, they're not fun to play. No matter how much you may love the army, when they have no chance of challenging for a game at your skill level, and again, part of it's at your skill level, they're not fun to play. Like, I think Wolves will be really good right now, too. But I'll be honest, I'm really stuck on Guard right now. I'm really hot to play something completely different. And Guard strikes me as just something completely different. I had that stupid tournament where I showed up with 100 bodies and had the time of my life. And so now I'm stuck on this idea of just playing dumb Guard lists. Let's just pick a unit and just shove them all in there. What are you gonna do? Like 6 tanks and 100 bodies. How you doing? And it's funny because you look at like my Ogors. The units I like, there aren't that many units in the army to begin with, and the units I don't like, I have literally 0 of. And the units I like, I have a number of them. So like my army is gonna be very basic. It's gonna be just the big boys of clubs, the guys walking around with cannons, the giant cannons being pulled by a boar, and some dudes running around on saber cats. That's it. I mean, it's just, but I've got a lot of each one of those things because I like those things. I will eventually have a variation where I'm going to do like the all beast army. So it'll be a big dude on an elephant and a big spellcaster on an elephant or a longhorn, and then a bunch of the dudes on saber cats running around. I mean that seems like fun to me too. Just this gigantic army of just cavalry. I mean that seems like fun. I almost kind of want to get a couple more of the elephant dudes just so I can make the troop version of them where it's 2 guys and one guy's got a harpoon cannon on the back there while the one guy rides around. And that's the part that appeals to me. Putting Yetis in my army, nah. Putting saber-toothed cats that don't have riders on them, not interested. putting a lot of Noblars in my army. I have enough Noblars right now to make one unit because you get extra Noblars every time you get ogres. I have enough to put in one squad of Noblars because they come in a base unit of 20. I don't know that I want to because they just kind of there to annoy people. I mean, I put them in as a point fixer at best. I'd rather just adjust things around to get more something else, more fat boys on the table. But I got is playing, and I know I talked about last year. I wanted to get like an escalation league for Age of Sigmar going, and unfortunately, just the way things have changed this year, I don't think I'm gonna be able to head that up. But I gotta find somebody trying to do it so I can start having an excuse to bring my ogres and work with them. And then the Sunday thing, I want to play on Sundays, but I gotta be able to get up in the morning. So I have a hard time getting up Sunday morning. It's like, this is my one day to sleep. And I got to figure that out. Got to game more. Got to paint more. Got to game more. And that's a big thing. I want to paint, get my stuff done, and then game with it. Get my armies finished and get them on the table and play with them. I think it's a good goal for 2023. Get her done. Get her done. Now, I know we started a little late today, but we're going to end on time just because I'm still a little bit recovering. I'm already a little tired, and I think it's time for Big D to go get some CP Seeps because I have to do a double shift tomorrow. So, Knox, I'll hit you up later. We're going to talk about it. Ben, plan on Sunday. I will reconfirm later in the week, of course. But unless we get hit with another winter storm, plan on Sunday. Plan on my ogres coming and trying to eat your elves. Let's plan on having some fun. Don't hold your breath, because I know world life changes. Don't hold your breath. But reserve that first game for me, because you're the first person I'm playing. That being said, I love all you so much. I want to thank you all for coming in. I know it was a shorter show. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you hanging out with me. Again, G-Dubs needs to do more of this. This is good. The way it's presented, the way it's built, the way that they're addressing changing the game, but keeping this core game. I honestly think they need to figure out how to adapt this for 40K, because I think this is going to keep Age of Sigmar healthier for longer. That being said, I love y'all, and I'll see you soon. And until then, game on.